All right, we're live. We're already telling jokes in the pre-show. We are here live with Herman Lowe after the game for week 2 versus the Bucs. Unfortunately, Lions lost yesterday. We're going to go ahead and just start it right off and just hit it
That's
right
why we
over to
telling
Lowe. Hit it
jokes.
right over to Lowe. What do you want to start with, Lowe? What's on
That's
your
why we
mind?
telling jokes. We trying to keep it humorous around here because it's a lot of people around here not happy today because of the Lions loss. And I think it's more so not because of the loss. I think it's the way that they lost. The 1 for 7 in the red zone, really not being effective all day long. Jared had a very, very uneven game, to say the least. He didn't play well. They got away from the run game. I thought the defense did pretty good. I thought the defense held up as much as they could, but I think the offense got to do a little bit more to help the defense out. And the killer was that happened right before the halftime, us not getting that field goal because we ran out on the field too early. That was a killer because if you think about it, if we got those 3 points, then we wouldn't have had to try to get in the end zone towards the end of the game. So that's my quick assessment on what happened.
That was quick. What you got, Herm?
Well, I'm pretty much along the same lines with slight little different take on a couple items. I think offensively they were very solid. I thought this was a team that came out and just had some mishaps. And when you open a game with an interception, uh, luckily defense bailed them out. You get the strip sack down near the goal line, which Tampa Bay I'm sure was uh, feeling like they left 4 points on the board, having to settle for a field goal. But ultimately, this was a team that it was just a weird game. I don't know. When you look at a team, you always try and figure out if you're going a step forward or a step back. And coaches will always try and mitigate it. Players will try and mitigate it. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say it's 1 week, you put it behind you. But there are some things that, as you know, Lomas, and I know, there's cleanup on Monday. There's film. Film will, as they say, don't lie. And there's grades that are going to be handed out. And we're in an era, and I'll be brief with this, that where we have an opportunity, even as fans and former players, where we can go back and get the coach's view. We can go back and get the sideline view. We can get the end zone view. So we don't have to guess our way around what we see and what we find out. And I know there's going to be a lot of cleanup. There's some things that are happening in individual compartments of the game that you can see that's going to need cleanup. It's no different. Every team has it, but it's how do you manage these games that you're well balanced, you're matched against a team like Tampa Bay, they're a playoff based team, and be able to compete and not have some of the mistakes that you just don't think or should happen with a team that is rolling like they are with the Lions. So offensively, good game with a lot of cleanup and bad mistakes at inopportune times. Defensively, I think there's some exposure areas they have to clean up. Secondary, I think, is playing well. I think the linebacking core is doing what they need to do because the line is actually doing a very good job, I think, up front. And then you're getting good pass rush on the outside. So I think the assessments are there. I think there's some good, but there's definitely a lot that needs to be cleaned up.
All right. So first, I want to tell everybody who's joining us, thank you for joining us. Hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and then also please ask questions for Herman and Lomas. They're our resident football experts. Easy, what question you got for the guys?
I have a question. So I was trying to do some homework before hopping on just now, and I'm looking at the red zone numbers, and like Lowe said, we're 1 of 7. But I look at the play breakdowns. There was 13 passes and only I want to say 8 or 7 runs. Let me see. I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, 8 run plays, and the one touchdown we had was on that run play. After watching that overtime last week, did we mess up? Did we leave? I guess points on the board by just trying to pass as much as we did.
I think so. Again, our strength is what? Our offensive line. That's the strength of this team. That's been the strength of this team the last couple of years. And again, you had the blueprint. They laid the blueprint out with the overtime. That overtime drive, they ran the ball, I think it was 7 times and only passed it 1 time. They let them big boys eat up front, and that's what they need to do as offensive linemen. So they already developed the blueprint. Why not just follow the blueprint? Why not just keep following it till somebody stop it? So we stopped ourselves. Like I say, especially once you and Herm, you know how hard it is to get in the red zone, man. You get down there that many times, you just can't settle for field goals. And shout out to Jake Bates, because he's making it. Remember, he was a huge question mark coming into the season. So he's made everything so far. So that's been good right there. But, man, we need to put it in the end zone. I mean, this high-powered offense we came into the season with, we were used to putting up points. And, Amarad, he got his catches, but again, it's just Sam Laporta not getting his touches. And it's just other things on the offense right now, just not making it right. But I do know the one thing that makes it right is to run the ball.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick on running the ball. That is a stabilizer, and I think that is a tone setter. You always talk about when you have a team. There's always this thing when you have a team. You use certain components of who you are and what your identity is as a unit, and you try and set the tone and the tempo of the game. So we came out. We always knew we were going to run the football, and I'm not going to go back and keep taking people back to when we played. But any team does that. The Lions, they're balanced offense, but their strength is definitely, and their stabilizer is running the football. You have an offensive line that is considered top 3 in the NFL, top 5 on a bad day. And you have 2 dynamic running backs that bring a different 1-2 punch to the table that teams are forced to have to deal with and have to stop. And then on top of that, you complicate defensive units trying to stop your team when you have St. Brown and you have now an emerging Williams who's making plays, and then you have a tight end who's Pro Bowler. So when you look at all the weapons that you have afforded to you, you have the ability to what happens. You have the ability to force habit, but you have to find that base of consistency first. Some teams like to come out and throw very short passes to get their quarterback and their receivers in rhythm because they're a pass-first offense. They don't just take passes and just throw downfield 3 downs and then just hope it happens. So to your point, it's use the strength. You don't have to try and trick people. They know where your strength is. I would just run down their throat. I would ground and pound, and then I would beat them down and really take their confidence away with the passing game, because they can't, when you force them into that zone play or you force them into man, now you got a guy like Jamison Williams who you don't want to single up man to man and with a free safety deep, and you don't want to have St. Brown who gets to go around and pick your defense apart if you sit back in zone. So the Lions have all the components. It's just about the play mix.
So, Herm, I said this, though, too, going into the season, before the season started. I said that because we brought back mostly the same team, that just went to the NFC Championship game, right? So I said the biggest adjustment I thought was going to be more so on our OC and our DC, meaning Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Because Herm, you're coming back with almost the same set of plays, right? That worked for you last year. You want to run a lot of those plays, a lot of those routes, a lot of those, with the running back. So you want to run a lot of the same thing that you ran last year. But the problem is other teams have had a year to adjust. Other offensive coordinators, other defensive coordinators have had a year to adjust. They know where your strengths are. They know they're devised schemes to stop you now. So now it falls on the shoulders, right, to me, of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to make sure we put our guys in position to be successful. Even though we know teams know us, they know our strengths, they know our weaknesses, they know how to attack us. They know all these different things about us, but the OC's got to continuously evolve. Therefore, teams just can't bog you down. And, I'm seeing a little bit of that right now. I know they're smart enough, especially Ben Johnson, to devise things to come up out of that. But I'm just seeing a little bit of that because, again, these teams have seen us. We're not sneaking up on anybody this year, Herm. You know that. I mean, we're not. Everybody's gunning for the Lions now. and that's a different position to be in.
It's an offense that has identity. It's an offense that also has players who now have game film and identity and identification. Jameson Williams, who is he considered? Their big play guy. He's considered the speed player. He's considered the one that you got to watch out when he looks to stretch and get behind the linebackers or get up on the safety. You don't want to get him matched up in those mismatch positions. You got St. Brown, who you know will destroy you when you are sitting in zone. If you look at what happened, a lot of people said the game before that, you know, man coverage wasn't intentional. But I think they were playing man. I think when you look at how they were trying to really bracket and try and make sure that if you know you're trying to shut down a player, bracket and man, you disrupt routes. But the minute you look at Tampa Bay and they went into zone, he really started to pick them apart. They really just started to find a rhythm, and you're bringing less people because they sit back in the secondary. To say that, meaning with Ben Johnson, he knows that teams have the blueprint, they have the plan. You can only do so many different plays and trick plays and all these things. Your offense is going to be your ability to run the same plays repeatedly and not care what the defense does. And it's basically you have to put them on their heels and make them stop you. I see that this is an offense that's able to do that when defenses aren't aggressive. Where I see the problem coming in is when defense gets aggressive and they start to throw packages and blitz packages and all these things at them because they feel like they're going to be passed first. You know, I can tell you right now, this is not a team that wants to throw the ball 55 times. And there was no need in this game for anyone. You can talk about, when you talk about the OC, you talk about Ben Johnson. The question becomes, explain to me what made you or what put you in a position or a mindset to say we should be throwing the ball 55 times this game and abandoning a run that you didn't give an opportunity to develop. That's a question that whether the head coach answers or whether, you know, your OC answers, it's not a criticism, it's a question. So no one should be offended by answering that. And then when you look at what you have in that combination in the backfield and also with the line, you then have to explain away why I don't go to that as kind of my go-to and or a definitive part of our game plan. So defensively, Aaron Glenn, I know he's going to be looking at how to mitigate exposure in the secondary. He's got a couple guys planned that are new. Teams are going to be gunning. We already know, I said this yesterday in one of our broadcasts, that they're going to throw at the young guys. They're going to, it's a plan. As I can tell you as a veteran receiver, you throw the ball at your rookie receivers because you want them to get PIs. You want them to be tested. You want to find out and expose any inconsistencies they may have because they haven't had the experience at this point to really build their own tool, their set of tools. So there's a lot that's happening across there, but you know, it's not all, like I said, it's not doom and gloom. This isn't pulling them apart. It's saying, listen, we're dissecting what we saw, what needs to be cleaned. It doesn't mean that it's unattainable. It just means these are some things that led to, you know, some of the things that we saw yesterday.
Okay, so let's go with something a little bit a quick hit here. So if you guys fill in the blanks, so say if the Lions would have blank, they would have pulled out the win yesterday. Lomas.
If the Lions would have scored when they got in the red zone, 1 for 7 when you get in the red zone, again, I'm glad to see Jake Bates is doing good, but I want to see a little less of Jake Bates, a little bit more Jared Goff to whoever, Amon-Ra, Sam, whoever. That's what I want to see more of.
So, Herman, you talked about red zone a little bit. What do you think is going to be a difference maker in the red zone?
Well, there's a couple of things. This is an offense that really has to work its way in. There are some plays, I think, when they're outside of the 30-yard line, they're more effective in the red zone in terms of potential opportunity to score. Seems like they have a much more open playbook, and that's typically the case. Your red zone playbook really becomes condensed when you get down into that area, and then based on the fronts or the coverages that you see, it then is going to further limit your ability to do certain things. And then the second factor to that is their players. Do you have a dominant red zone playmaker, especially in the receiver position? You know, you don't have a Calvin, you don't have a guy like me or someone that you can just say, hey, we're going to create matchup problems and we're going to force safeties over the top because these are guys that can beat double coverage. These are guys that can go up no matter, even if they're covered, and make plays. So working your way in or finding creative ways to do that mean that this is a team that we can't expect them to have when they get into the red zone. They have to work their way in. So does that mean they should be reserved to just field goals? No. But there is some innovation and some more things they're going to have to do, because teams are going to play that. They're going to play to keep them 2 field goals when they get into that, and not, get them inside of the 10, because they know they're going to run the football. And I think that's a strength to get it into the end zone for them very easily.
So that's why I think it's important for them to get, man, they had Tim Patrick in the game yesterday, Herm, but that's why I think it's important for get him acclimated and get Allen Robinson. If they're going to use Allen, get them acclimated, because those, think about it, those are only big body receivers. Sam Laporta, like you saying, was our end zone threat. He's been the red zone threat because, like you saying, he got the size. So now you look at, hopefully, if Tim Patrick, I think he's like 6'5", huh? So he got some length on him. He made a couple of nice catches out there the other day on the field. Or Allen, I haven't seen much of Allen Robinson, but those are bigger size guys, so that could help.
All right, so Darcy just asked a question. Said Jared Goff thrives with the play action. Did you guys notice a lack of play action?
Yeah, because they weren't running it. They ain't run the ball. I mean, you got to run it to be able to establish the play action, and they didn't consistently run the ball enough to make the defense want to come up and bite up so they could use the play action. So, again, they went away from their strength.
Doesn't the offensive line get fatigued when you do too much passing too? Because don't you want to push forward and run?
So like I tell everybody, passing, if you think about it, that's a passive motion for us, meaning we're going backwards. So you're retreating and you're trying to stop a 300-pounder from running right at you. You know what I'm saying? So it's passive. Run blocking, you going straight ahead. You attacking them. So that's more aggressive. So your attitude, is totally different between the two blocks. So that's why I say start your game off running the ball. Herman them, they'll understand. Give me about 5 runs in a row. Then you can get Herman something. Give him something a little later on down. But start off with the big fellas. Let us eat. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'll say this because I definitely want Easy to jump in. But on the play action side, you have to. Everyone knows that the Lions can pass the football. You have a tight end. You have competent wide receivers. You have a very good offensive line, and your running backs. That you want to make those linebackers very active. You want to make them think run first. You need the safeties to come down and support, because you're breaking through that first part of the line. You're getting to the second layer of coverage and the defensive side of the opponent with the run game. So then you start to commit people closer down towards the line of scrimmage. And at that point is when they're reacting to you handing off or giving that play fake on a run play, that you're able to hit the ball, that throws over top, and you're able to sit and you're able to find a tight end that sneaks out and does a crossing route that gets a big play or whatever the case may be. But if you're not doing that, they're just not going to bite on it. And then you try and go to play action. It may or may not work based on if someone falls asleep in the defensive secondary. And then sets give it away as well. So there's a lot that goes into making the play action work. Jared Goff is, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the league at the play action pass. And also I think he's been one of the most efficient. So I think that is a strength, and they need to really work that into their system to hit more of those second level routes, but also being able to have the exposure to hit the big play down the field.
Lomas, the O lineman, did you like seeing J-Mo get in there with the block yesterday?
Yeah, that was nice, man. Hey, what they say, their philosophy over there, Herm, is if you don't block, you don't get the rock. So they got the block.
No block, no rock.
Yeah, that's what they tell them. If you don't,
what do you think about that, Easy? No block, no rock.
Getting the rock. So
I like it, man.
Yeah, don't you? Yeah, that's nice.
You keep it that way. Yeah, 'cause I mean, the run game, like you guys been saying, is like kind of our bread and butter. They look uncharacteristic to me. Watching them yesterday, I wonder too. I'm asking you guys, like, do you think either Ben Johnson or Jared Goff is kind of overstimulated with the emergence of Jameson Williams as that weapon, just knowing that he's that big play threat, maybe trying to force it too much rather than like play into their game, which has been running the ball and setting stuff up?
Go ahead, huh?
Oh, well, I think that, when I'm going to go back, using me as a player. You have players that you know can make plays. It's the offensive coordinator is conscious. Your quarterback is conscious. They want to feed guys. They do. They want to make sure that you're part of a progression. They want to make sure that you get in the mix because they don't need you to drift or be out of the mindset, because you can kind of become kind of out of it if you're just floating around and you know that you're a 1 or you're the 2 guy and you're not getting the rock. So it's important that you try and feed them. But when you become fixated on it too much, it becomes apparent. I mean, there were times when, they talk about if you have a receiver, when you get in trouble, you always are looking for that guy. Everybody knows where that guy's lined up. Scott and Mitchell knew what side I was lined up on. You get a guy like Cal, everybody's going to know where he's lined up. And if you get in trouble, it's too easy to go back and make that person a 1, even if they're the 2nd or 3rd in the read. And if you get fixated on that, it can create issues. But I think the underlying piece that, like I said, that I've had with this Easy is this: that the running game cannot be abandoned with this team. They're going to need it. It's probably one of the most dependable pieces. I don't care if they get a lost yard on one play, or they only get a yard or stopped at the line of scrimmage. It's also play sequence and understanding when to cycle those in. When you don't have teams that are keeping you from being in a first down and being able to run and get 5 yards and 5 yards and 3 yards and making it 3rd and short, sometimes you gotta stick with those boring, mundane things that will lull defenses to sleep, and you wear them down, and you start to build you start to take other things from them, like confidence and the ability to stop you. And then that's when you hit them in the face, and that's when you can come back and you can feed the rest of the team.
Hit him in the face, Lo.
I like that. You going for the mug, Herm?
There it is. You know what? I'm trying to be part of that.
What is he going with, the fist or?
Hey, Easy gave me a little MMA. He gave me a little bit of that
I
elbow
was
right
saying,
there.
talk about lulling to sleep. It's like Valentina with grappling the entire time, got her belt back. It was boring fight, but you know what? Dominated.
Oh yeah, that's it. And then we're about the crowd, because that's exactly what they did in MMA in her fight for UFC. They were like, listen, the crowd is not, even Herb Dean. He was like, come on, we need more action. He's trying to
get a bet on the fight
more,
or something like that.
And
like,
they're like,
Herb,
imagine this. Imagine the referee coming out going, hey, we need y'all to throw the ball. Y'all got to throw the rock, because y'all just been running the ball too much. We need more action. The fans are getting a little weary. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You got to do what is right. You have to do what is relevant, and you have to do what you see in front of you that's dictating this is the way to beat this team down. And I want to say this real quick, Lo, when you were talking about the linemen and they have more of a passive or proactive play, when you're going forward, think of Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, even to look at what he did defensively, if you're not running the ball at him, he may stop your run, he may disrupt that play, but if you're not making and forcing him to play a complete game, and all he has to do is tee back, he's going to create havoc like he's doing. So if teams want to continue to do that, I'm all for it, because I love seeing them get in there and disrupt those offensive units. But I'm surprised that teams aren't trying to slow down what he's doing. Forget about the chipping and bringing a guy over. You become too predictable as an offense. But if you're not running the ball and you're wearing down people, we used to do it all the time. You know that. We run at them and say, you know what, we're going to force them to have to tackle, fall on the ground, get off of the ground, run around people. After a while, man, that motor gets a little bit tired. But I'm not going to, I probably shouldn't put that out there in the world, so teams start thinking about that.
You're gonna tip them off. Now they'll know.
And piss off our fan base.
Plus, I have to say that Aiden hunted too, because he went after, they had the Pro Bowl. They got one of the best left tackles in the league. Aiden, man, he went over there. All his sacks came against that other guy on the other side and stuff. And
opposite the Pro Bowl.
Remember, hey, Herm, we played, I don't know what year it was. We played Minnesota one year, and Sean Bowens lined up next to me. Hey, he had gave up a sack to John Randall. Hey, I'm telling you, the next play, him and John was out there arguing about who was going to line up over John. They was about to go to blows, man. Oh, no, man, it's my time to line up over. Because they knew that, when you smell it, when you got a duck, when you got somebody you could get, you want to stay over. Man, they was about to fight on the field to see who's going to be next to line up over
I can
Sean.
attest, man. I can attest.
Yeah.
No, we did. We used to get rookies that were corners, and even though Johnny was the X receiver, or Brett was in the slot, or Brett may go to X and Johnny go to the slot, Brett would go, man, I want to go run the Z because he knew I was going against the rookie, and he had a couple guys on the other side. So then I would go over to X and he would go over to Z. We were literally in the huddle because we had to know all the plays across the board. So I could play slot, I could play X, I could play Z. It didn't matter. You had to know everybody's position. And we were doing that during the game. So sometimes I wasn't even lined up where I was supposed to be. And it still worked because the other one wanted to go over and get a play. And we felt that, Johnny may have a better route, at running a post route against this guy versus me, of course, or something like that. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. So we've only got a few minutes left because, our superstar Lomas, he's got places to go, things like that. But we've got a lot of panicking happening in the comments. So I just want to make sure.
Oh, no panic. What's the panic for?
We can talk about the fact that are we still contenders? And are we going to get it handed to us in Arizona?
Arizona's tough.
You know what? I just started. Hadn't even gotten through the first quarter watching that game. Arizona versus the Rams. So I'm watching that game because I want to see what happened, because I was shocked when I heard this score after our game. I just couldn't believe Arizona beat the Rams down like that, especially after the tough game we just had with them. So I want to see how they match up against the Rams. Just want to see what the Lions are looking at, how they're going to try to attack Arizona, both on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. But, I would say not. I'm still confident that we're going out there and we're going to get that dub.
And we got some Cardinals fans hanging out on our channel right now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm a former Arizona Cardinal, so
someone said that too, actually. Yeah.
So I got love for the desert.
I think that this is still a contender team. There's nothing to panic for at this point. I haven't seen anything that they can't correct. Only thing I will say is this, again, talent is talent. You have who you have. So there's a mixture that has happened in terms of how you align these players. Your players who are the veteran players, they have to offset by making smart decisions, smart plays, and if there is not necessarily overcompensating, but picking up the loose ends and not allowing there to be exposure in areas that are obvious weaknesses. Every team has them. The goal is which team can expose the other team's weakness and then benefit and profit off of that. I think there's some things that the Lions will have to look at, like I said, with some of their rookies. But at the same time, it's being smart and understanding the strength of this team. And that is the running game mixed in with the passing game. The passing game is not a slouch, but the passing game, I think, is both a complement to the running game and the running game to the passing game. I don't think you can shy away and make it over dominant with one over the other. There has to be a balance here.
Hey, do you think you could have been a good head coach? Seriously.
I could have.
That's a serious question, Herman.
I think I could have been.
Serious. I'm asking serious. I'm being serious.
I'm being very serious. Okay. I think I could have been. And even if not a head coach, definitely a position coach. Okay. But somehow I was told I need to go back to the high school level to get some experience before I could coach at the college and then at the professional level. I'm not making this up. This is a true story. So I said, you know what? I think I'm good. I'll go do something else.
I think you'd be a good head coach.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation.
We're going to do this.
Oh, man. That's
crazy. No, because the thing is, to be a head coach, you have to be that chess player, and you have to have the strategy, and you have to have all these working pieces. And as an entrepreneur, you already do that all the time. So I think it's a position that requires certain experience. And growing into that, I don't think that would have been a tough call. I think it would have been something I would have really enjoyed. But nonetheless, I enjoy being here with you, big fella. And next time you guys decide, man, let me know next time they gonna be filming down there in your neck of the woods for First 48.
Man, I don't want to hear. Hey, Chrissy, I was Rick James, Chrissy.
What? Oh, by the way, we have to say this real quick before everyone gets off. Kudos to the big fella. I have to tell you. So we were down at a fundraiser.
Yeah.
For people and families who are undergoing cancer treatment and or going through that horrible ordeal. But Lomas and I were down to help raise funds, but also Lomas took his charm and his personality to the stage and performed Rick James. And Lomas, I don't even know if you want to give people a little bit of what you did, because you know we're gonna post a little bit. If you want, I might have to throw a little bit of your clips up, man, because I was on the front row and I have film.
I know I should have had some ready. I should have had some clips ready for the show.
I could pull it up right now.
Yeah, Chrissy might pull a little bit of up.
Superstar. I'm that modest superstar, Rick James. So we did it, but it was for the New Day Foundation, Herm. So it was for New Day.
It was, and I'm gonna tell you this, man, Lo. You were pretty good with it, man. You lip sync 40% of it right.
I know,
which was good. And then the dancing, man, I was just hoping you didn't hurt yourself. And then the dreads were on point too. So
you had the dreads too?
I had the dreads with the beads in it and everything, man. And then here it is. Y'all ready for it? Go ahead.
Now come to the stage, Lomas Brown performing Super Freak by Rick James.
Yeah, I was supposed to wait till the lights came up to run out.
Here we go.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
Look at Lomas. Why is he over there trying to lift me now? You still getting it wrong.
You see my background, man?
Yeah, that's Lomas' kids, man. That's his family, man. Hey, they did a great job.
Lionel Richie stands low. I don't know what it is.
Okay. And I was supposed to look like that.
Did you win, Lo?
Oh, but I got 2 10.
Let me see how you break it down. This is where you have to bring it home. This is where you have to bring it home.
Hold on.
Yeah. Now, I will give you this. On the innovation, I'm throwing the jersey underneath because I thought you were going to throw some napkins. Hey, I was glad to see, man, that you went out and you did that. Hey, you look like a 90-year-old Rick James.
Hey, man, I don't need no comments from you, man.
Hey, but you did great, man. It was a great game.
Like old Elvis. That's when how Elvis was looking when he got old.
That's it. But it's all good.
Elvis didn't even technically get old. He died at 42. That is the crazy thing about
Elvis. Yeah, but he was looking. His body was looking old.
Hey, I got to tell you though, man, it's you do a heck of a job, man, in community work and charity. You've always been the pride of the Lions, man, and just a great ambassador. So I want to tell you as a friend and as a brother, man, that super proud of all that you do, and keep up the great work, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Super proud of the Super
Freak.
Proud of the Super Freak.
Yeah. You like that easy?
The Super Freak philanthropic Lomas Brown.
All right, I think that's gonna be it for the day. We good? We
out?
out?
Real quick, appreciate it. Would be a player's coach or what?
I would be a player's coach, but not in a sense. It would be. I think Dan Campbell has created the model that all of us as players have been longing for and yearning for. So I think he's got it down. I think you're going to see emulation. He's going to be the original of that because he's taking it to a whole different level. So love what he's doing. Love how he has this team playing, and it's going to get better. I'm not worried at this point.
Yeah. It's about so much more than coaching.
It is.
It's whole management.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Everybody leave your comments, leave your questions. Herman will be looking. Lomas will be looking. We'll answer some more later.
Yeah, continue to follow us and don't forget about us. Like us, follow us, and check us out every week.
Super Freaks.